Ready to transform your relationship? Avoid these three common mistakes. Hi, I'm Laban Ditchburn.
And I'm Anna Ditchburn.
And welcome back to another amazing episode of Purpose Partners for Life.
Are you unwillingly sabotaging your relationships? We wanted to share three biggest mistakes today that we can see in most relationships that people make, that driving them apart of each other.
And I'll be presenting this on the world's smallest microphone. Yeah, folks. So number one, neglecting quality time. Well, what does quality time mean? Time with your loved one that is integral to the success of any short, medium, long-term relationship. And from my perspective, I want to hear your thoughts on this, Anna. It's being present, because you could easily be in the same home. And this happened during the lockdown, and a lot of people were working, from home and working all day, and then they would neglect actually being present with each other when there was an opportunity to present. And this is something that we experienced at times back in Australia.
It's easy to prioritize work, education, children, whatever you are doing, your business. And you actually forget to connect on a much deeper level with your partner. So, what to do in this situation?
Yeah, you want to try and switch off from technology for a little bit. We all easily get distracted. We got smartwatches and things that ping us notifications all the time. But in terms of, we prioritize time to eat, we prioritize time to drink, we prioritize time to go to the bathroom, because these things are things that if we don't do, we'll die. Like my grandmother used to say, God rest her soul, if you don't poop, you'll die. And it's the same with this type of thing. You have to build this into your routine, whether it be every single day or I would encourage every single day, at least some, if you're living together.
Let us share some of the tips that we learned from our own experience.
Well, we're very blessed because of the relationship that we have and the work that we do. We are both entrepreneurs and we are able to work from anywhere. So it's not like Anna's going off to do her job and I'm at home doing my thing, which is what was the case for quite some time when Anna was still working in her former career in the banking industry. And we have even ourselves been found guilty of getting immersed in whatever we're doing and neglecting time. And then when one of the other partners asks, or Anna might ask me something and I'm focused or concentrating on something, I don't acknowledge the question, for example. And the acknowledgement could be as simple as, darling, bear with me, give me 5 minutes. Let me just finish this off and I'll come back to you. Is that an acceptable answer to you?
Yes. And from my own experience, I've learned to intentionally create time with Laban, whether I ask him for a date or to go to the cinema or to go for a walk together. Because when you walk and don't take your devices with you, you can be so present with your partner. You can brainstorm things, you can plan in advance. You can ask your partner, darling, what is missing in our relationships for you? How can I be a better partner?
Mm-hmm.
And Laban asked me the same question as well. This builds a really deep connection in our relationships because, as Laban mentioned, we both doing a similar job, and sometimes being a business partners and a purpose partners can disturb this connection as lovers. So we have to be very careful. Do not be constantly in a business side, but make a time to separate our personal life.
Correct. And there's plenty of evidence that suggests that walking side by side, whether you're in a relationship or in a professional environment, that it's a very non-confrontational way of discussing heavy topics. And I remember I resigned from my recruitment job back in 2009. And my boss took me for a walk, and we went for a walk and we discussed it, and it was perfectly amicable and civil. And rather than being brought into his office to grill me about why I was leaving to go to the competition, I got headhunted, by the way, because I was really good at what I did. At least that's what I tell myself.
So mistake number two, communication breakdowns.
Just like Led Zeppelin used to sing about, communication breakdown is really one of the biggest causes of arguments, not just in relationships, but in loving relationships, but in professional and going down to the supermarket. There's many ways why this is a really effective way of causing damage. So, how do we communicate? Well, it's a great question. We have learned that through making sure that the other person, to the best of our ability, is clear on what we're asking, that we can elicit a far better response. Simply taking that extra step and doing something when you're communicating with someone alleviates a whole number of back end issues. And the example might be something really small and innocuous, like, darling, did you take out the garbage? And I might mishear. And she says, I think she says, I'm going to take out the garbage, right? Which is something I typically normally do. But
This relationship with Laban for me is truly the first relationship where I've realized the power of communications. Because Laban, if you remember, it was so hard for me to really open up to you, to tell you what is in my heart, or to have a difficult conversations with you, because I was so afraid of your reaction or what you're gonna say. But I realized that keeping those things to myself is just it builds up more resentment, miscommunication, misunderstanding. And so it doesn't matter how difficult conversation should
mm-hmm.
be, you need to learn how to do this. And what is the best way you taught me for me to start a difficult conversation with you?
Well, I just for context, the reason why there was a lot of fear and hesitation from you was nothing to do with me, but to do with how you were raised
With my past.
and a
Mhm.
very domineering stepfather who would shut down everyone in the family anytime they said anything or spoke up at all. And it was all a lot of yes or no, sir, three bags full, sir. So ask me the question one more time.
What is the best way for for me or for any woman to start a difficult conversation with her partner?
See, before I answer that, what I did there instinctively, I didn't plan this, was that I forgot exactly what Anna asked me and I wanted to just clarify what it was. So now I'm very clear on what the question is. Isn't that great? So the best way for you to start a conversation with me in that context, I think that as a man, anytime we feel unappreciated or attacked
Mm.
is when we're going to put our guard up and when we don't feel heard. And any way that you can structure that conversation, and you do this beautifully. You
Give
often,
an example.
well, often Anna will say to me, Laban, can I ask you a question? And I'm like, oh my God, what is that? It's like, it's just something like so lovely. Um, I'm gonna do the dishes. I'm Is it okay if I make some noise or something, right? And I'm like, go for it. But quite often we're recording podcasts or creating content, and sometimes, you're in the middle of something, so you want to be quiet. But just something as simple as that. And then of course I want to make Anna also feel heard and give her the permission to go ahead and do her thing, whatever it might be, whether it be do dishes or whatever. And she can do that knowing that she's not disrupting and vice versa.
Very often, when I experience some downtime or I'm stressing out about something, I need someone just to listen to me. And I would usually come to Laban and I would ask him, do you have a second? I just need to talk to you about something. And then I shared with him what is happening in my world with me. And for men out there, I just want to say that sometimes women come to you not to ask you to solve their problems, but just talk to you. And what Laban was doing, he would listen intensively with interest. And then when I would finish, he would ask me, baby, do you need help to sort these things out? And if I would say, yes, please, I need your help, then he would tell me his opinion and what he would do in this situation.
Mhm.
But if I say, no, I just wanted to share with you, he would hug me or kiss me or just say, ah, come here, my love.
Yeah, very often we go into problem solving mode, and 9 times out of 10, people don't want problem solving help. They
Mhm.
just want to be heard. And
Just
it's
wanted-
the same sometimes with me talking to Anna. I just want to share something that's on my chest without judgment and just to whatever. But there's also many times where I really do value Anna's opinion. And then because of the way of that structure of that communication style, it allows her to go further in that process.
That's a very good point. Listening without the judgments. Because what we all usually do, oh, again, but that's your fault, or something like that. And then the whole communication just goes to the rubbish.
So number 3, taking each other for granted.
In most of the families, in most of the relationships, especially when we've been together for many, many years, we really forget the value of each other. We get distracted with outside world, and we are not appreciate each other like we would appreciate it at the very beginning of our relationships.
In our journey over the last 6 months, we've been traveling pretty much nonstop. We've finally settled into a place here in Florida, in the United States, and we are going to be in a position where we're not going to be moving, packing up our suitcases. For anyone that's done any extensive travel with anyone or by yourself, it can be quite stressful, no matter what the situation is. There's a lot of external factors that we really have any control over, and it creates a lot of built up stress, and it sometimes can be released in a negative manner. And certainly we experienced that at times last year when we were driving right across the United States. We did 2,200 miles in 6 days, and it nearly resulted in divorce
Mhm.
because we were pushing our physical limits, doing so much driving, and just the associated stress of being in a foreign country, and just a litany of other things. And it was a great wake up call. We had a really miraculous moment where we were in the middle of Kansas, the state of Kansas somewhere, and we got into a really, really big fight. Probably one of the worst fights we'd ever had. And Anna took her wedding ring off and threw it into the cup holder, and demanded that I drive her to the next major airport so she could fly back to Mexico. But she was serious. Like she was dead serious. And I'm like, fine, I'll do it. And I was like, but we need gas. And we pulled into a gas station. Anna went in to go use the bathroom, and I think you were crying in there as well, weren't you?
Mhm.
And I got a phone call out of the blue from a friend of ours by the name of Les Brown. Now, for those that don't know Les Brown, he is regarded as one of the greatest motivational speakers of our generation. He wrote the foreword for my book, which is called Bet on You. You can get that on Amazon if you want to learn more about that. But he rang me out of the blue and he wanted to ask me something. He asked me if I was okay. And I was just honest. And I said, actually, Les, if I'm totally honest with you, I'm not. Anna and I have just had this huge fight. And he shared with something with us really amazing. This is before Anna got back in the car. He said, Laban, in any relationship, during a period of stress or great pressure, one of you needs to take a stand for the relationship. We were married at this point. We had wedding vows. We'd committed to each other till through thick and thin, till death do us part. Better for better or worse, that kind of thing. And he that knowledge from him was just incredible. And Anna hopped back in the car when he was still talking to me, and I said, Les, she's back in the car. I asked him to repeat what he said, and he did that. And Anna sat in there, and Anna burst into tears, and I think I was crying as well. And I got out of the car. I walked around and just embraced Anna. over Anna's shoulder. We were in the middle of nowhere, like country bumpkin, Kansas. There was a sign, a huge billboard that says never quit. And it was just a real sign from the universe that the incredible God moment from such an incredible man, Les Brown. So if you haven't checked out his stuff, you need to get on YouTube after this video. And if you watch one of his videos, you won't have a bad day. I promise you that.
And we had another moment where 2 years ago in September 2021, we, after 3 years being together, I had to go back to Russia to testify against my perpetrator. And Laban stayed in Melbourne, Australia. And we were apart for nearly 7 weeks. It was a tough time because we so got used to be together. But then I had to travel by myself. I had to fall asleep by myself, wake up by myself. I was really missing Laban. At those points, I realized how much I'm valuing you. Because, guys, there are so many people who are single and have been single for many, many years, and they can't find the one who they can be with. So don't take your relationship for granted. Tell your partner how much you appreciate him or her. Think about what are you grateful for in your partner. We do this very often, just out of the blue. You don't have to wait for a good moment. You can just say, babe,
Mm-hmm.
you know how much I love you and how
Yeah.
much I'm proud of you and, and how much I'm grateful that you are in my life.
And I do, darling, and I love you back, and I'm grateful for you too. And Anna does this a lot for me. It's a really wonderful thing, and this is some of the stuff that we teach in our Purpose Partners for Life challenge. We will be launching some upcoming dates, and if you're watching this in the past, go to the show notes. There will be a link. But in the meantime, if you're interested in learning more and being involved in that challenge, put the word purpose in the chat, and we'll make sure that we get an invitation to attend one of these events. These will be running every single month, where they run over 5 days. And a lot of the stuff that we're talking about on the channel will be talked about and revealed in these challenges so that you can develop your own purpose partner with each other.
And have a deep, meaningful, loving, and healthy relationships with your partner. So I hope this was helpful, and please leave in the comments below, what are you doing that keep your relationship alive and even deeper, even meaningful, and even more loving? We would love to hear from you.
See ya.